So, as we've said before, it looks like potentially a no-deal Brexit, which seemed very unlikely, has now become, well, quite likely. And so, what would actually happen? What happens on, Brexit Day? What happens? Well, a group called UK in a Changing Europe has examined exactly what a no-deal situation would happen. And I'll leave a link to this article below, but here are basically 9 things that would happen on a no Brexit day. So, number 1, first of all, it would go against public wisdom. Just after the election, Survation, I think that's how you say it, Survation reported that as many as 2/3 of Brits believe that leaving the EU without a mutually agreed deal would be bad for Britain, while just 26% reckoned that it would be good for the country. Other polls show similar scepticism about leaving with no deal. Good. Because potentially that could actually just stop us leaving altogether, and that would be, quite frankly, the best deal. We've talked about this before multiple times. These negotiations we're going through are not going to leave us in a better position. It is basically just damage control, and it is basically a matter of how much damage we can essentially stop. So, number 2 for them, there will be legal chaos. Article 50 states that treaties will cease to apply at the end of the 2-year negotiating period. According to the report, this will lead to legal chaos. For example, while treaties are still in place, UK exporters pay no tariffs while transporting goods to Europe. After Brexit Day, or B-Day as they're calling it here, there will be a duty to be paid. But who pays it? If the buyer and the seller enter a dispute, what court resolves it? So, number 3, and we've talked about this one before, trading with the EU would default to WTO rules. That's the World Trade Organization. So, World Trade Organization rules would apply. British exporters to the EU would be subject to the same customs checks, tariffs, and regulatory barriers that are in place with the US in practical terms. This means lorry queues at border points like Dover and Calais. And this is what's referred to as the Dover Stack. They think that basically there would be a lorry queue possibly leading all the way back to London. And this would cause absolute travel chaos on the motorway. So, number 4, a border would reappear on Ireland. So, because of customs checks and tariffs, a report expects a return to a hard border in Northern Ireland in the absence of a Brexit deal. This would disrupt farming in particular. And again, that could lead to a whole new slew of potential troubles coming from Ireland now, if that happens. So, number 5, food prices will rise. While a plummeting pound may affect prices in the short term, as it's already doing, the report expects food to get pricier in the long term because of extra tariffs. Where the UK relies on buying from abroad, like fruits, vegetables, pork and beef, prices will rise significantly. So, number 6, we've talked about this one before as well, the fish problem we're going to face. If no deal is reached, boats from other EU member states will lose their automatic legal right to fish in UK waters, so British fishermen could catch more fish. But here's the catch. When it came to selling that fish, they would face tariffs on sales to their largest export market, the EU. Yes, British fishermen sell more fish to the EU than they actually do at home. And yet again, this is one of the largest groups that continue to whine and moan about the EU, but when it comes to telling the truth about how much they catch, they have not told the truth. And we're going massively off topic here, but I just want to point how bad this has basically been. Because they haven't told the truth, the EU puts tariffs on, and then they complain about, oh, this is, it's just wasteful. And the EU knows it's wasteful as well. So every time they have a review of these things, and when we've had these reviews, who's been in charge of doing this stuff? It's been Nigel Farage. Out of 36 meetings, he turned up to one. He turned up to one meeting. And because the UK didn't have someone to negotiate in their corner, again, Nigel Farage, I'm fighting for Britain, the UK fishermen lost out dramatically, massively. The tariffs for all the other countries got, the catch limits got raised for all the other countries, but not for the UK. In fact, the UK got less because there was no one to argue for the UK. As a result, it took a TV chef, I can't remember his name, I think it was Heston. I can't remember if it was or not. Took them, and it took his going to the EU and explaining what was going on for them to actually raise it. And by the way, don't think this benefits UK fishermen, because they now lose 66% of their fishing grounds. So that's what British fish lose. And by the way, fish do not live in set waters. They continuously travel around. So don't think that this is a good thing, because fish don't care about sea borders. They just go where they want. And the most popular fishing ground, by the way, is in Norwegian waters. We lose out to that. So yeah, there's we've talked about this before, but this is, the more you look into the particular fishing situation, British fishermen, they are going to get absolutely hammered. And they already were like the biggest group complaining about problems in the EU. So yeah, go figure. So that was number 6. So number 7, the only destination is Dublin. The report expects that if a no deal was struck, the right to operate services from one airport to another would vanish, and the only reliable air routes would be from the UK to the airline's home country. In other words, you could fly Ryanair to Dublin, but not to Barcelona, Milan or Paris. So number 8, we're going on nuclear. Without being a member of Eurotam, the body that oversees nuclear energy, the UK will lose access to safety procedures and systems for operating nuclear power plants. The plants would have to shut, and the UK would have to find new source of energy soon, or it's lights out. And number 9, EU we're in limbo, basically. That's what they've put on here. But they say for this one, without any agreement, EU citizens in the UK would be in a form of legal and political limbo. Not illegal, but with their status at best anonymous. Those without documentation would struggle the most. Meanwhile, UK nationals elsewhere in the UK would find themselves at the mercy of individual nation states. So that's basically the 9 things that would essentially happen, particularly if a no Brexit deal was reached. And as I've said before, no deal, no Brexit. Pass the word on, people.